Hello, you may recognize this Santa Claus from a picture I put up on Rainbow Loom's site. I came up with a couple different ways to do it, so I'll show you how to initially do this. As you notice in the back, you could easily put a pin on it and it can be worn, but it turned out pretty cute. But I did modify it. I've since fixed the cap so that way it actually comes more to a point, and on the second model that I tried, I used Google Eyes. So this is the other one that I made, and I used a more burgundy color, and you can see that this actually came to a point better, and then I made a top kind of tassel with about 4 white rubber bands, and then I gave him Google Eyes. I kind of liked them, but at the same time his eyes they fit pretty well, but I wish that there had been more white here, so maybe if I do this version again, I might do a couple of white bands. And then what I also like is that the beard kind of seems loose, like a real beard, and then a mustache. So again, I'm going to be pausing a lot because I'm using a phone and I have to pause it. I can't use both my hands. But I'm going to show you how I have made this particular Santa Claus. Okay, so I've started off with my loom. I've done double bands all the way down the loom. I have 3 red bands on the right and the left sides, 4 red bands. I do 1 white band, although I probably should have done another one here, but I just wanted to kind of go this route. Modifying is usually the fun part of doing other people's projects. I use the light orange because right now I don't have any skin-colored ones. Sorry, I had a child interrupting. And then on my first project, with the eyes, I did actually do a blue and a black, so I was trying to go for an effect like he had a little iris with his blue eyes. So this time I decided just to go with solid black bands. Again, 2 bands. So your 3 bands, a white, an orange, or peach, whatever you want to call the color, black, and then some additional orange bands. Same on this side as this side. And then white. And then in the center, I did a red. This is supposed to be his nose, because you know how Santa Claus is supposed to have a red nose from being in the cold and stuff. And then I did white bands down. All double banded, okay? The next thing I do is I make the pieces for his mustache. I use the single band looped triple time on the hook, and then I use double bands. I do 1, 2, and 3. Again, I'm using some blue hooks I got from some bands that I bought at Walmart in a bag, and they came with a blue hook, so these have been great for placeholders. You can also use toothpicks, as some of the other people have done, whatever works for you. So there's his mustache. And then the beard, I do the same effect. This is the center one. This is going to have 8. Same thing where you do the triple loop on the end and then double bands up. So there's 8 of those up to the top and held in place. And then I do 5 on here so that the beard will be kind of off-centered. Alright, so what I'm going to do is go ahead and place these in those places on the loom, and then I will show you where those are placed. Okay, so I have placed the beard pieces on. I simply place them onto the last pegs at the bottom. Notice that these arrows are now facing this direction. So this is the end of the beard. You can straighten them up after you do all the looming pieces of it. And then on the mustache, I place it on just below the red nose piece, which actually, if you notice, an unexpected effect is this actually looks a little more three-dimensional doing it that way, and it makes it look like he actually has kind of a nose thing going on. If you were going to be using wiggle eyes instead of bands, then this would be where you would not place black bands on here. You just use the peach-colored or orange-colored ones instead. And then same as with the minion bracelet, you'll place the eyes on the loom after you do the triangle bands. Some things to point out is this is the same effect as my octopus, except that the mustache obviously is shorter. You can adapt this and make it longer if you like. I just happen to like the short mustache piece. You might even place another red band here so that you kind of have a red band for the nose and maybe a red band for the mouth, however you choose to. But Just a word of caution, these bands have a tendency to slip down and under. They're very easily pulled back forward because rubber bands stretch, so it's easy to fix this. So what I'm going to do now is place my triangle bands, and I'll come back with where they're placed. Alright, so now I've placed my triangle bands on the loom. I did not go all the way up to the top so that I can go for the more pointed hat look. So you start with the second set of pegs down, so you're going to do red, 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 and I just do a single band. Then you're going to do a white for the white section, and then light orange or peach, 1, 2, 3, 4 of those, and then I do white bands, 1, 2, make sure you go over the top of the mustache, and then 3. With these bands, please remember that, like the octopus, this is going to be a very thick section of bands, so when looming you're going to probably want to turn it to the side to locate the bands. I find that that's easier to do. I also push all my bands down as far as I can to accommodate the number of bands that I'm using. Just like with any of the other attachments you do, like with bracelets, you're going to simply loom this through to make these connect. Okay? So I'm going to come back after I've loomed up and show you what it looks like. Okay, so here's what the loom looks like now that I have loomed up. And you'll notice that I still have these bands up here. They are still in the teardrop shape. And this next part would be better if I could do a visual, but what I'm going to do is explain what I'll do here. I'm going to use my hook and pull off all bands on this one and have it looped onto the hook. I'm also going to pull the bands off of this and have them looped onto the hook. And then I'm going to put 2 bands through there to hold these together. And then I'm going to do the same thing, looping, pull these off, and then I'm going to loop 2 bands through this set of bands. I'll go ahead and pull them off of there, and I'll show you what it looks like when it's on the hook, okay? Okay, so I'm trying to hold this in position so you can kind of see what I've done here. As you can see, I went through these 2 that were at the top and did a double band. Then I re-hooked through this one and then grabbed these bands and then double looped through there as well, so that I can have these to work from at the top. At this point in time, I would slip all your bands over to this thicker part. I will tell you that this particular project, because of the thickness of the bands, it is very possible that if you aren't careful about pulling, you can probably break your hook, which is why I kind of like the idea that I have these, or if you have some kind of placeholder or something else that's stronger, you will need to use a hook or your fingers to slip this section off, just like you do with the octopus figurine that I did. And then I'll show you what it looks like with everything pulled off, and then how to finish the hat. Okay, so here the Santa Claus is pulled off of the loom now. You might want to do some pulling and adjusting to make the Santa Claus line up nicely. The mustache I usually pull out and then I kind of point it down like a mustache would, give more of a dignified mustache look. You can shape it how you need to. Now you'll notice up here at the top that I do have 2 different sets of bands that I'll need to work with, and I'll try to pause this and show you what I do. Again, I'm going to be using my blue hooks to place hold this set of bands because I still need to do another row with double bands, and I'll show you here in just a moment. So I have the set of bands on this side of the hat held with a placeholder so that I can focus on this side first. And what I'm going to do is pull another set of double bands through here. Then I'm going to re-loop through here, pull the placeholder out, and also do another set of bands so that I have another row of 2 separate sets of bands. Okay. Oh, I just dropped my camera. Sorry, guys. Now I've got, again, a set of 4 different loops of bands here. Now I'm going to use another set of double bands, and I'm going to bring all these together as one. And then I will do another row with double bands again, which will be the last row. Okay, so I've just pulled all those loops through one set of double bands, and now I'm going to do that again with another set of double bands. And then what I'm going to do, I'll show you what I'll do after that, okay? Alright, so now what I'm going to do, so I can end this and put a tassel on the top, is I'm going to use 4 white rubber bands. I will pull them all through here, and then I will cut them so that they kind of make a little tassel on the top. And now what I'll do is make a slip knot out of that. Okay, so I've now pulled this as tight as I can for the slip knot, and then I'm going to cut these to form the tassel. Okay, and here's the finished product. So again, I just broke the tops and made a tassel on the top. You might even get a little bit inventive, maybe put a bell, or if you have another technique that will finish that off, that would be great. Like I said, on the back side it's flat, so you could easily put a pin to it, or find some other way to utilize this, maybe on a keychain. So there is the Santa Claus with the Google eyes. I have to say I kind of like this effect. And then there's the Santa with the eyes that I made originally, and the hat that's not quite to a point. You might have to do some shaping up here to make it more of a point. Feel free to reposition the beard so that it's a little more beard-like. And then obviously if you can get your beard or your mustache to cooperate, you can get that to twist down a little bit. But that is the Santa Claus and how I make it. Enjoy!